There's something about my presence that disturbs people, and I've wondered about it my whole life, been confused about it, because nobody seems to have the answers or want to talk about the answers. But from what I understand now, is that I've always been a bearer of light. I've always carried this light with me, this authenticity, this truth. Being someone who's incredibly honest and loyal and all about my word, sticking to my word and everything. All that. Being real, being honest, just all around trying to be a good person in a world full of liars where pretty much everybody around you is just gossiping and talking bad about people and trying to stir up drama and fights and chaos. And people wonder why I've survived the things I've survived if they know how many times I've almost died. I've overdosed. I've been in a car wreck where I almost burned alive. I've been hit by a car. I've been poisoned. I've been electrocuted. I've been put in many circumstances where the person putting me in that position thought I was going to die, and that's what they were hoping for, and I didn't, because God has been protecting me this whole time. The Holy Spirit has protected me, because the Holy Spirit knows what I've been through. Only God knows the persecution and the lies that have been told about me my entire life by mostly my family and everybody around me. People in real life, people online. I used to play video games with, thinking that they're friends and they're strangers, and come to find out they were all in communication with my family, working to sabotage my life by getting close as a friend and then stirring up some drama and trying to piss me off, and their ultimate intention, believe it or not, was to try and drive me to suicide, trying to drive me to kill myself through all the trauma that they purposely put me through. They've sabotaged my vehicles. They've done everything they can to make sure that I never save money and never have a way to get out of here, never have a vehicle. Every vehicle I get, they sabotage. So I can't ever save money or do anything because they'll sabotage it. They've tried to have me arrested so many times. Every time I've been arrested, just about, was my family making up a lie about me, trying to have me arrested. And I just thought most of this time that these people are just insane. They don't realize what they do. But there comes a time where it just happens so much and so often and over and over and over again, where it's like maybe they're doing it on purpose. All the times, right before the hurricane, you know what happened? I was working for my uncle for like $8 something an hour, like slave work. And that's why I can't ever get ahead, because I'm always working for my family, who takes advantage of me. They think I'm stupid. They think I'll work for $8 an hour for the rest of my life. So I quit, because I realized I'm never going to get a raise. This job is a dead-end job. It's going nowhere. There's no point. It's a waste of my time. And I was renting from Anthony at the time, who I was working for Anthony at the store up there, Chido's. And I was living in the apartment behind the store, and like the day after I quit, I came out the apartment to go buy a drink at the store. And Anthony was outside, and there was like 6 or 7 other people with him, workers, people working for him. And he came storming up to me, screaming at me, you know, mad that I quit. And he came up to me, and I'm non-confrontational. I've never been in a fight where I threw the first punch. Every fight I've been in, I was attacked. And some of them I didn't even defend myself. Several of them I didn't defend myself, really. Because I know what God does to him is far worse than what I'm going to do to him. But anyway, he comes up to me and he pushes me. He pushes me up against the truck. And I push back, which he wasn't expecting. He wasn't expecting me to fight back. And when I fought back, we tussled around a bit. He couldn't bring me to the ground, so my dad ran over and tackled me. So Anthony and my dad tackled me to the ground. And then, it took a couple minutes for him to calm down and get off of me and everything. Christy's trying to get him off of me and all that. And she goes and gets her gun. Anthony tells her to get her gun. All right, so I go to my apartment and I call the police because, they say go get a gun, and I know what they're playing. They're trying to lead me into something. But anyway, luckily that was the one time in life I was surprised because the police actually charged him like they should have. But his buddies, they tried to lie for him and all, but it didn't work that time. But anyway, then I go over to my aunt's house to stay, to get away from them. And then I have a weird dream, a crazy dream. I felt like I was sleeping for like 3 days. Felt like I was dead, actually. I dreamed that I was an owner of a corporation, a soda corporation, and I got real rich, super rich and powerful, and somehow, because of something I was doing, it caused mold to grow everywhere. Don't make sense, but, basically mold took over the whole state of Florida and, killed all the vegetation and everything, and it was like an apocalyptic event. Basically, it was the apocalypse in a weird way, in a weird metaphorical way, I guess. And I dreamed everyone just started dying, and it was all because of their addictions, and their greed, and their gluttony, and everything, and I tried to tell them, and nobody listened. They thought it was a joke. And just like they think this is all a joke, what I do in real life. But, yeah, anyway, it was the apocalypse, and everyone died. And I was like the last one left, trying to survive. And then I woke up, and I had vertigo. I don't know if you've ever had vertigo or anything, but it's like being drunk times 1,000 or 100 or something, because I got up out of bed and the whole world was just spinning and spinning and spinning. I couldn't walk straight. I just kept spinning. As I'd walk, I'd spin. And, when I would try to turn left, I would actually turn right. And vice versa. When I wanted to turn left, I would turn right. And everything was like reversed and weird. And it was like that for several days leading up to the Hurricane Michael. And I think somehow that was connected. Like I was having a prophetic dream of some sort. And the vertigo stopped about a day or two before the storm hit. When the storm hit, I was at my recording and things got a little bad. I went inside to dry off my phone and stuff, and Kirsten went downstairs, and as soon as she got to the stairs, I heard the roof being ripped off of her room where she was just at. The roof got ripped off. And then I cracked the door of the room I was in to look out on the back porch, and I seen boards and stuff flying by right where we were just standing, and insulation and all that just going everywhere where we were just standing at. And we just had decided to step in for a minute, and then boom, that happened. And some things happened, storm, I went and done some charitable things, and then some time went by, about a month. Thanksgiving rolled around. It was the night before Thanksgiving, and I was just thinking about all the things I have to be thankful for, and all the things that my family has done to me, and all these so-called friends in my life that were all just actors, Satanists, out to just sabotage my life because of who I am. Because of who Christ is and what he represents, and they knew all along that I was a beacon of light. And I was a real one. I was a true follower of Christ. They realized that from a young age. It was like they put me through tests to see if I was a bad guy or a good guy, and they realized I was a good guy, so they never trusted me. And they've been out to sabotage me my entire life because I didn't do certain things that they wanted me to do. Very terrible things that would have taken the light from me, and then I'd be lost like them, and I wouldn't have God's protection like them. And I was thinking about what happened to the natives, the Native Americans, and how I wish they'd be given back the land that's owed to them, from the government, and they should. And I've always had that native-like spirit, very connected to nature and animals and just life in general. And I was a bit suicidal that night, and I don't want to put it into words, but me and God had a conversation that night, and I told him, if I live through this, then I have a purpose. I cut myself a little bit, and my aunt seen it and got mad. My aunt and my whole family, they were all staying in the same house at the time, and I couldn't sleep in that house because I had sleep problems, and everybody knew that, but they didn't care. They wouldn't try to be quiet or anything, and that house was so loud. It was like there's always somebody up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, being loud as possible, all the lights on and everything, just nobody cares, and I had to sleep on the couch, and just all these people around me, it was like sleep deprivation, and I had just started this job, this night job, and so I had no sleep, and I was, you know, it was bad. It wasn't fun. And so my aunt seen those cuts on my arm, and she decided to kick me out of the house, like make me leave. And we're arguing and everything, and it's just me, her, and my mom in the house. Everyone else is out in the truck getting ready to leave to go to Pensacola for Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm bleeding, and Ashley's telling me to get out of the house. And so I started to pack my stuff, go get some warmer clothes on, because it was freezing cold that night. It was like the coldest night ever in Florida, and it was super windy, super cold for Florida. It was like 20s and windy. And I was thinking about all that, and I dropped my bag and everything, and I'm like, I'm not going nowhere. And I went to the kitchen, and I grabbed the biggest, sharpest knife out of the thing on the counter, and I grabbed it with my left hand, even though I'm right-handed, and I just sliced my arm open, and blood started going everywhere, and Ashley started screaming. She was mad I was getting blood everywhere, and my mom was screaming because she sees I'm dying, and I'm bleeding a lot. It was a lot of blood. It's pretty crazy, and my mom's trying to stop the bleeding, grab something, wrap around there, and have my arm on the counter, holding something, pressure on there. And Ashley's screaming at my mom and me for getting blood on the counter and everything. And my mom's screaming and crying. And I told her, it's going to be okay, Mom. I'm going to live. And when I said that, I knew I was. I knew I was going to live. Because God had said I was going to live. And I did. I lived. And I woke up the next morning feeling closer to Jesus than I had ever felt in my life. It was like I had cut myself off from humanity, realizing that they're just lost. They're all like a bunch of lost demons. They do nothing but lie, cheat, and steal from everybody around them. But that's because of the people that were around me. I had that perception because of the people around me. But things happened, and I got closer and closer to Christ. I started seeking again. I started learning about the Bible and stuff. And I came across some things that really opened my eyes and really connected all the religions and all the gods together in a very understandable way. And everything started to make sense then. Why everybody is so racist and so ignorant and so hateful. Because they're all under the spell of lies. The most hypocritical lies you could imagine. If you really knew who Jesus is, and what he was trying to teach, if you really read the words and try to understand them, you'll realize that most Christians are antichrist. And that's sad, and that's terrible to say, but it's true. If you listen to Jesus and his words instead of your priest or your pastor, your life will really start to change, and God will really start to protect you and look out for you and give you the full armor of God. And that's what truth is. Telling the truth, speaking the truth is the armor of God. When you tell lies, you lose that armor. Lies. That's the devil. That's spells. Lies are spells. And guess what? Pretty much everyone watching this is under those spells and under a lot of delusions about a lot of things like me. Everything everybody says about me is a lie. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows the real me. They say I'm racist. They say I'm gay. They say I'm a school shooter. They say I'm crazy. They say, all kinds of sick things. Everything they can to demonize me. And make people hate me and make people not listen to me because they fear me. If you understood Christ consciousness and how real it is, how powerful it is, you'd understand why they fear me. Especially all the people that have spent all these years lying about me and persecuting me. They expect forgiveness, and I definitely do offer forgiveness for those willing to, apologize. But it's kind of hard to forgive somebody who hasn't apologized and continues to do the things that put them on the naughty list. I've spent pretty much my whole life being Christ-like. Just quiet, keeping to myself, minding my business, respecting people. I treat others how they treat me. My parents, they don't know nothing about that. They don't know nothing about respect. Almost everything they say is a lie, sadly. But Hurricane Michael taught me a lot. After Hurricane Michael, I got really close to God. I was pretty much homeless. After I did that to my arm, I had to go stay up at my grandma's property in a trailer that had, the roof ripped off and everything. I stayed up there for about a year with no running water or electricity or nothing. It was terrible, but I learned a lot. I spent all that time learning on the internet, learning just about everything. And yeah, that's about when I got into the occult a little bit. Started researching what's hidden, because that's what a cult is. It just means hidden. What's been hidden from us. I know it sounds scary. It's a scary word. But it's just what's been hidden. What's the truth? There's some dark truths in there. Most people can't handle it. Most people can't even understand it. That's why it's hidden. Because most people are just stupid.